HEX, crypto big payday, you gon' see. It was November 19, that's the day they predict. Every time I spit, I bring the craziest shit. Shout to day 43, yo, that's the OG. HEX, crypto big payday, you gon' see. It was November 19, that's the day they predict. Every time I spit, I bring the craziest shit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Man, thank goodness.
Harder to justify what the hell we're doing here, man.
He's phony, she's fake. That's the type of people I hate.
Yo, y'all know the lyrics. Come on, sing with me. Shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yam, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away. Off on the natural charge, bon voyage. Yeah, from the home of the dog.
Man, it's unwrecked. Thank goodness.
Welcome to the HEX Late Show. It's 43 OG here tonight on a Tuesday evening in Australia. We've got a special guest tonight. We have Steph from Staker App, who's in the green room. I'm going to bring him up in a second. But before I do, I just want to open my drink. I assume you can all hear me, by the way, because I was just playing around with my audio settings before we started up. So if someone can give me a thumbs up that you can hear me okay. I'll wait for that. Yep, you can hear me. Perfect. Okay, so before we go any further, let me say one thing to everyone who's watching. Pulse seems to be on the cusp of being launched. And I think it's very important for everyone to remember, because we're all waiting, we're all sitting on the edge of our seats. Just remember that Pulse hasn't launched until you see Richard Hart having tweeted, perhaps done a YouTube video, or in the official hex.com or PulseChain.com Telegram group. You really need to see it in a couple of those just to be sure, because otherwise you might fall for a fake Pulse launch. So just make sure, guys, that you are 100% sure that it's Richard Hart who's telling you about the launch, you're not hearing it from a third party. Now, with that out of the way, let me bring up someone who has been a very important part in the HEX community and the development of HEX. He was very important for me putting in more money in HEX, and I'll explain that. When Steph came out with Staker App, before that actually, on his website hex.live, he had these rankings, he had these rankings, and they were like gamified rankings, and they were based on sea animals. Like you had whales, you had sharks, you had dolphins, you had squid, you had turtles. And when this happened, I did not care at all about it. Could not care less about it. It was, to me, it was just some stupid waste of time, kids game bullshit. And after just observing it and observing the rankings, it sucked me in, and I wanted to go up in the rankings. And when Steph came out with Staker App, and you could aggregate different addresses, and Staker App would actually aggregate them and push you up in the rankings, it really did gamify it for me. And because of that, I actually was going after more T-shares, and trying to get myself up the rank. So that's just my intro to Steph and how he helped the HEX ecosystem get more of my money. So I'll bring him up without further ado. Mr. Steph.
Hello. How's it
How are
going?
you, sir?
Great,
I'm
great.
well.
Thank you
I'm
for
well.
having me.
Oh, you're welcome, mate. You are welcome. You've been on our show a number of times now.
A few times, yes.
Yeah, two times before previous. So
Yeah,
this would be the
few
third time.
times doing some bets on the future price of HEX and just generally like just chatting or discussing the product or more generally the HEX ecosystem or crypto. So yeah, I think it must be like the third or fourth time in total. You guys have been running for so long, so I don't even remember.
Yeah, well, we've been going since mid 2020, which was you guys
Nearly
released
3 years.
Staker App not long after that, I don't think.
We first came with an agreement to start a company with Fireburn, my co-founder, in May 2020. We released the first version, alpha version of the app around October, November 2020, I think before Big Payday. It was just a tracker at the beginning, and we enhanced the product with smart wallet technology around January 2021. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's has always been my onboarding tool of preference for new people coming on, just because it's so easy for someone who doesn't know anything about crypto, so we'll get into like Staker Up version 2 and all of that stuff, because you've just come out recently in the last couple of weeks with the version 2, which has been, I must say, it has been long awaited. We've been waiting on this for how long? Like a year and a half. It's been a long time in the works.
I mean, it's been awaited because we mentioned that we were just working on doing more. This is the only reason, right? If you said like we were not doing anything specific, people would not have waited. But it is true that as soon as we release V1 with the smart wallet, it was January 2021. Around May, June of 2021, we started mentioning that we were starting to brainstorming ideas of what we would like to see in the next version of the product. So yeah, you could say it's been a bit more than a year, but effectively we're starting writing code for the new version a year ago. Like it was January, February. The first few lines of codes were last year, so about a year, I'd say. But for a small, team of like a few engineers, 3-4 engineers, I think we did a complete revamp of the application, the backend, supporting multi-chain, multi-token, while still maintaining what was existing. I think it's reasonable. Yeah, we work on it by phase, and maybe throughout the year of 2022, myself, my co-founder, we had a couple of personal project and time off we wanted to take, right? Yeah, project was a bit slower around that time, and by the end of the year, I think when we felt like there was the pressure of PulseChain around the corner, we just kind of just pushed a bit further just to get things out of the door. And we realized that based on kind of the vision or the thing that we shared we wanted to do in the product and what we released right now is the V2, we call it actually V2 Lite internally. There's a little gap, right? The expectation of the smart wallet and capabilities. And it's because we wanted to get the product out of the door ahead of PulseChain. Right? That was the kind of the primary reason. So I understand some people may be frustrated because they wanted to see more or they want feature A, B, C. But for us, it's more important that the app, the new version that supports multiple token and the PulseChains and Ethereum is in the hands of everybody before the launch of PulseChain, right?
Yep. That makes sense. Because when PulseChain does launch, if you are using the Staker app smart wallet, you do want to just be able to flick across to PulseChain and see what's happening over there, rather than waiting for updates to come through the App Store. So can I ask you to perhaps summarize? And I'm sure like it's a very, very long list, but if you could just summarize, what are the main changes that you've made between version 1 and version 2?
Yeah, so Staker app is two things. Like it's a way just to track historically it's been a way to track your HEX portfolio. And it's also a smart wallet, meaning it's a wallet that is basically deployed on the Ethereum blockchain. And also it's the same case on PulseChain. That lets you basically extend capabilities of what you can do with a wallet. I can give a few, and it's been there since V1 was around, namely the ability to pay for the fees in the ERC token of your choice. Right? It's something you cannot do with a MetaMask. The guarantee that your transaction will go through. It's not the case with MetaMask. Because you sign a transaction, you relate to us, right? Sign, and basically we give you a quote, and we guarantee that we will just execute for that quote, right? And if the gas price is volatile during that period, we pay the difference, right? So we have an AI engine in the background making estimates of what is the likelihood of prices to move in the next few minutes after you submit the transaction. So a lot of like basically reducing friction of crypto, we put already in the V1 product. People don't realize, if you use the product and you're maybe someone that doesn't really know about crypto, and then you need to use MetaMask, you understand the pain, right? So we received a lot of flack recently, but it makes me smile because we know based on our user base and demographic and the people that comes to the product, we have anywhere between 25 to 30% of people that just new to crypto. And for them, just to then sometimes try to dab into the rest of DeFi using other wallets, this is also very overwhelming. So, the V1 version was the wallet and the X portfolio tracker with cool features like a feed, the ability to statistic at the global level and the personal level, and we revamped the app just to make it this different part of the feature set that we are delivering a bit more clear. So we have a dedicated wallet section, and that is now supporting a watch list and making this differentiation between what you're tracking as part of your portfolio, so your smart wallet and your what we call the external wallets, and the thing that you just want to keep track on, right? It could be something for your kids or something you don't want, you maybe temporarily you don't want to account as part of your entire portfolio. So we added a feature on the wallet side to make that happen. The next features in the next maybe 1 or 2 months related to the wallet has to do with multi-sig and recovery, very important security features. That's for the wallet. We also enable the ability to see and swap infinite amount of tokens. Right, on Ethereum is about 4,000 tokens, and it will be as many tokens as we can live on the PulseChain network. We'll try to see how much prescriptive we are with regard to new project or things that haven't been reviewed or vetted. We try to be very conservative on that front, but at the same time, we don't want to be a gatekeeper. It's not sustainable even for our team. So we just might go with a couple of warning, right? Automated disclaimers for users. Say this is a new project, liquidity is very low. hasn't been traded for a while, so just be extra careful. And so that's for the wallet part. For the personal part, it's mostly very similar to V1 in the sense that we are mostly deeply integrated with HEX smart contract right now. So you will see all of your stakes, the stakes aggregated across multiple features. You have a way to filter across all your addresses or given addresses when you look at your stakes. And for the detail of your stakes, that you have a revamped performance stake details that give you how much you're making a day, a week, a month, or a year, as well as giving you an indication of like how much what is the estimated opportunities overall if you were to complete your stake versus ending it now. So yeah, we really redesigned and rethought the way we are presenting the product to our users, while trying to keep some level of consistency with the existing product. This is really hard, right? When you want to add more and simplify, you have always that tension between what advanced users want and what you want to do just to make it easier for new users to come in, right? So it's always that tension. And on that front,
well, what you just said there about the new users coming in, I think that's very important with that. With what you said about the transactions going through. I mean, that is something as a new user, very frustrating thing for a new user to have to go through with MetaMask. I know that frustrates me still when you do something and then it comes back with a failed transaction. It's like, oh, I just spent money on gas and it just failed. You know, it's a frustrating thing to have to go through sometimes. But for a new user coming into crypto, what StakerApp, in my opinion, what StakerApp provides is that higher level of usability for them, because getting failed transactions is not a good user experience for a new crypto user. So I think that's one of the really good features that StakerApp has, in particular.
And there's a lot of things related to the smart wallet and the fact that we relay transactions on behalf of the user that could be benefiting users. One of the big pain points of the HEX smart contract is kind of a design flow where for ending the stake, basically you pay more linearly or proportionally based on the number of days that you stakes, right? And it's a design flow because there's other design that could have worked, including the share rates, not having that feature. So I understand, as any product, people sometimes you want to go to market faster than having the perfect product. But that causes actually some situation, some really hard tension for some users that could not stake a lot.
I want to step in and defend the flaw in the contract. You are correct. This is what happens. However, I just want to point out to anyone who's wasn't around, at the beginning when HEX launched, gas prices were far lower. However, you could argue that we knew that we hoped that eventually Ethereum would increase in price. But one thing that did happen was the Ethereum Foundation, or the people who changed the code, actually upped the S load for I think writing to disk. So that That
but
made,
there's
actually
there's also
that's a shifting of the goalposts, so to speak.
Exactly.
Which if you've got an immutable code, which is sort of what we look at as desirable in DeFi, then that leaves you in a situation where we are now, which Richard Hart's creating a whole a fork of a whole chain just to alleviate that issue. Right,
that's a very reason why I call it a design flow. If you need to create your own blockchain, and it's not even said that the HEX current design, the same situation may happen or will probably happen on PulseChain, given the level of enthusiasm that we see in the community. It's a very rare community that launched a blockchain with so many eyes and project built in, and because of that, there's other design just to realize what the HEX certificate of deposit with the share rates is trying to do. That doesn't imply having a non-constant cost for the end stake function. So what I'm saying is there's always better, right? That's the one of the key factor of technology is you can always do better. But sometimes you need to go to market with.
That's
you,
a fair
you need
point.
to go market with the best set of tools and assumption that you could make. They were doing fair assumption that maybe the S-load function would not be changed by the Ethereum development team, that the price of the gas would not be that intense, and the price of E. But when you have something that goes on for 15 years or for multiple decades, right? To me, as someone that's currently designing a smart contract, I'm thinking about these things very, very seriously.
Yeah.
How can I make my project as future-proof as possible when some element of the base layers may change?
It's a very difficult thing to try and predict. I think from what I can see, I've seen in crypto in the last, it's very hard to predict where things are going to go. Apart from maybe price go up for most for most of the stuff. But where the tech is going to go, who knows? Who knows if maybe look, we've got PulseChain for now, but who knows where layer 2 stuff is going to go, if there's some sort of composability between EVM layer 2s on EVM layer 2s. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I was not meaning just to bash specifically on HEX. I think it's a beautiful product. I'm fully invested, and I built a company.
Of course.
The thing, I mean, where I want us to go back to how StakeUp may be helping on that front is we are currently prototyping a way for users to end their stakes based on the whatever HEX they accrued through their staking, and give them the option to be a bit more patient with the end staking. Let's say you were waiting a few hours, just to do the end stake, and a bunch of people were to do the end stake with you, through StakeUp. You would the computation required just to calculate, the share rates and your yield on a daily basis. If it's divided, it's just basically the way it works in the node, the computers doing the computation in memory, they just store that value if it can be applied to multiple stakes, right? So kind of like batch end staking for multiple users, just using some. So we are looking really to the cutting edge of what we can do with the product to help people paying less when ending their stakes, right? So people that have staked basically with a smart wallet, even if it's not there yet, they can be reassured that they will pay less than anyone else, thanks to that kind of technology, if we manage to have enough volume to bundle a couple of end stake together, right? So we are looking into that these days, and I think that's a very cool feature that I think will help a lot of users.
Yeah, that's a very laudable objective to have, I think, given the end stake situation on Ethereum. I wanted to just touch on. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, maybe the last part of the app, right? I mentioned the wallet, the tracker, and the global statistics, right? And that comes with some sort of pricing. Obviously, all cryptos create a lot of enthusiasm when things go up or down. And historically, we were simply displaying an embedded web version of Dex.Vision, which was another site that we were controlling. But has been faulty and not accurate for a long time because we were looking into a null liquidity pool. So with the new version now, we have our own native representation of the price, as well as a backup as a third-party provider in case something was wrong on our side. Yeah, before we were just focusing on mostly focusing on the HEX price. Now we're expanding with the token listing, and we adopted our own heuristic or methodology just to compute how to rank order different ERC20s, something on the PulseChain side. And we played around with different formulas and heuristic over the past 3 months, and we settled on using what we coined QV ranking for quarterly volume ranking, where we just aggregate on different dexes the volume traded over 3 months, and that what gives you your rank. And to our surprise, we did not use the heuristic just to to put HEX as high ranking there. We did not optimize for HEX, but it is true that if you eliminate or filter out the stable coins, HEX
It's
is
right
one
up
of the
there.
most traded. Yeah, it's one of the most traded ERC20 after WBTC and Ether itself.
That's amazing, actually. To think that's
Nobody
case.
made that claim. Nobody actually like surfaced that idea before. That's why I think we love that new QV ranking. If I think it's quite robust enough to anyone like just gamifying it or spoofing it. So we just hope that more people in the industry just embrace on-chain data more than having just doing the classical, volume-based ranking, liquidity ranking, or
The
just one
centralized
market cap.
exchanges can really game the system with wash trading and this sort of thing. So I agree with you. The on-chain is I think the standard that we want to be moving towards, and I'm glad that
Exactly.
StakerApp's doing that. I wanted to ask you about one of the changes that you mentioned. Main changes from version 1 to version 2 was to do with multi-sig. Could you maybe just go into that a bit deeper and tell me what actually is the change that you guys are going to be bringing about?
True. So the technology that we use in the product, for people that don't know, is called a safe, or a Gnosis safe, or they rebranded as safe, which is a smart contract basically that is acting as basically your account, your bank account on the blockchain is there, and basically the secret or the seed phrase or the secret recovery phrase that you're using to secure that account, right, comes out with a public key, a public address that is basically the owner of the safe, right? That's really, really powerful for different reasons, right? You could imagine inheritance, or will or estate planning. You would be suffering from a hack, right? And you have a stake that is engaged for 15 years. You know that your seed phrase has been compromised. How much would you pay to upgrade the security and change the seed phrase, right? Everybody in the HEX ecosystem that staked for 15 years, 5 years, and that have a seed phrase that is likely to be compromised, because I see the data on the support side a lot, would want what we built. So we really thought really deeply in the future. It's like
Absolutely.
people are committing value for a long amount of time, and crypto is likely just to do amazing in the next decades. And we all owe us to our users, the new people that come into crypto, to deliver something that is superior to what we see in MetaMask. So I was thinking about, very selfishly, about my parents, right? When I put on this kind of feature, it's like, hey, what happens if they come to me and say, something wrong happened? Can I help them upgrade their security or move the ownership of their safe smart wallet to a new, fresh, clean seed, right? That's the power that we give to our users. Right now, the only thing to note is that within V1, we did not in the UI let the user control that ownership, changing the ownership, modifying it, right? It was kind of like little layer. We just get people on board, and then we add more features over time. But that capability
Can I jump in?
Go ahead.
If someone wanted to change it, it was possible. They would have had to
It was
contact
possible.
you guys. It was possible, but you just didn't allow that in the UI, correct?
No, I mean, actually, we would have maybe helped users making that modification.
They would have to do it themselves through
via a user interface, which is by the builders of this protocol, the Gnosis Safe UI, and they would have been able to exchange the ownership of the safe to a new address, right? It could, and the seed phrase could have been generated from a hardware wallet, a software wallet. It doesn't matter. I mean, but users could have done that by themselves. So we may have guided them through for a specific reason. The main issue with that is because our front end was not tailored just to deal with these changes. Maybe the app would not have functioned for you if you wanted to transact. The tracker would have worked the same way, but if you wanted to transact, it would have been just kind of like a stale for a while. So what we are doing in the upcoming months is letting users basically increase their security posture by showing them, hey, you just have one signature from the seed phrase that was generated on your mobile device. If you have another seed and owners that you want to apply to your wallet, please go through that little tutorial for you. We want to check that you understand the step, because we don't want you to be locked out. Right? The worst case scenario is like, hey, you are an owner that is the wrong owner, you get locked out, and then you come complain. So for us, that's why we're very, very conservative, because crypto is hard, and most of the issue we see is not to do with hack, is often has to do with the users themselves making mistakes, sending to the wrong address, sending to the wrong chain, losing their seed. And that's why we're very conservative. I know there's a couple of different wallets in the space, but it feels to me that most others competitors don't care as much as like just taking baby steps, offering them token over time, guiding them through the process. So we're not perfect in any means, but I think we'll take our time for that features. But it's coming soon, and we're actually gonna gamify it the same way we gamify the shares, so that users that just have maybe $100 or $1,000 to secure, maybe they don't need to go through the process of setting up a very complex system. So, and then maybe once they reach a threshold, right, their security metrics in the app, instead of saying secured with just 2FA or app locking, we'll tell them, well, now their security posture is medium or weak, because the HEX GAINZ made 100 HEX, and maybe they should consider upgrading their security profile. So we're gonna gamify it with different levels. I think about 4 levels for users to understand that you can do kind of security, just-in-time security, or upgrade it over time as your portfolio grows.
So if let's say I can put 2 owner addresses on there, will that be something that's possible, or can I?
So we're still arguing about the final details, but one of the best setup to avoid you to be locked out is a 2 out of 3 system, where you have a first seed maybe generated by our device, a second one by maybe another hot wallet, and a third by hardware wallet, right? Or you could elect someone that you trust to be the person that will help you recover in that worst case. So
like a social recovery type situation.
Yeah, for example, that, let's say your brother that you truly trust could be minority signer on your smart wallet. It's a 2 out of 3. You control 2 seed, and the requirement for any transaction to go out is to have a 2 signature, right? But in the eventuality where you would have lost one of them, let's say you had a hardware wallet, and for some reason the physical device gets lost, flooded, is no longer working, it'd be really sad for you just to be locked out, right? So whatever you use for the third signer, whether it's someone else or even a secondary hardware wallet that you have somewhere else, you could use that on top of the one, let's say, that you had on StakeUp, right?
So does that? Can I just drill in here? Does that mean that you'll be able to plug a hardware wallet into your mobile, and it will detect, say, your ledger or your Trezor? I'm assuming. Hang on. I'm going to make the assumption that because you're French, that Ledger is 100% going to be a part of this solution. Is that a right assumption?
There's a couple of different hardware wallet solutions on the market. The most popular are Ledger. They're in Paris. Actually, I met with them a few times already, and Trezor as well. So there's no reason for us just to discriminate any solution. I think we're just gonna apply the same kind of integration that, for example, you would have with MetaMask, where you just connect it, and then the device itself is providing a signature, right? And so the system, the workflow for users that really want that level of security is going to be the same way. You have your the StakeUp, basically seed that is encrypted on your device, will provide the first signatures, and then you're going to have external signatures that can come in. You're going to have to validate in the app, do what you need to do on your hardware device, and with the 2 signatures, then that double sign transaction will hit our relayer and be submitted to the blockchain the same way we're doing it right now. Yeah.
So you can take out the original one if you want, and then swap it over, and you could have 3 hardware wallets if you wanted.
True. I think ultimately you could even consider that maybe the one that has been generated on device is compromised or not at the level of security that you want for your own safe, and just change the ownership of the whole thing. So we're still figuring out the details. Okay, what do we kind of enforce at the beginning, and how much flexibility we give to the users? But again, I'm worried. I'm always worried about the people shooting themselves in the feet. Right? I know there's a couple of advanced users, but I don't want to make maybe the first iteration so flexible that users,
You're right,
basically
man.
set the wrong signer there, and then they lose everything. So the premise would have been,
Yeah.
how can we help them make themselves safer? But throughout the process, actually, their security decrease because of themselves. So the UX here needs to be really impeccable, simple, and basically not too prone to any user mistakes. So we'll have a confirmation, maybe challenges, regular, maybe monthly quiz or things that they need to do just to keep their memory fresh around it. So that security score that I mentioned, the gamification, is going to be a holistic thing that's going to comprise mobile security, privacy, hardware security, and we potentially a bit of knowledge like quizzes. And the more you do these things, and eventually a token that's going to incentivize you just to think about it. Like, imagine you could make a bit of money just caring about security in a way that nobody else cares in the ecosystem, in the crypto ecosystem. So yeah, we are really going
something that
full on
incentivizes
security.
good operational
behavior.
security.
Yeah, someone has a multi-sig and on the let's say monthly basis does a multi-sig transactions, right? Could mine a specific token, for example, just to prove that they're using technology, they're caring about security in a way that no one else cares in the ecosystem. So
I really like the direction of this. I really do. I like the idea of being able to, you can generate your smart wallet on the device, and then and then making those changes after the fact, and then if you want, doing your stakes, or if you feel uncertain about the security, because I got to say, like, having seed words on the screen of phone is not my ideal, it's not my ideal thing. So having that option to change over to another address is that's the I like the direction of that.
I would say, if I had just to put some sort of order in terms of the best seed phrase generation, right? In terms of just pure level of security, is yourself with a pen and paper doing the math, like very complex math, to derive, to generate a random seed phrase.
I was having this discussion with someone the other day, like on a Twitter Spaces with a guy called Adrian. His handle is PulseChain Live. That's his handle, and we were talking about this, and I was saying that I only generate seed phrases by flipping coins. And the last time I did it, it took me a long time. It took me a long time. I had to flip the coin. I forget how many was it? It was 256 times. And then, but I didn't do the maths by hand. I used some tools. Yeah, I know you can generate all this stuff, but if you really want to get the randomness, and you want to feel confident.
So you see, even in your example, you still rely on a third-party tool that is making the math for you, right? And so what I'm...
Well, not really. No, I'll tell you why. Well, I am when I get the seed words, because if I've got the 11, let's say I flip a coin 11 times, that gives me a number between 0 and 2047. And that gives me a seed, true. Right? So I can flip a coin. It's the only thing I need help with, me personally. Well, you can work it out, but I can't be bothered. I just use something to help me find the checksum at the end. But like all the other and all the other words, the 23 other words, you can just work out by flipping a coin. But yeah, it depends how deep you want to go, man. The rabbit hole's deep.
So the thing is, if you expect anyone else in the world to do that, there's no adoption. And you could say, well, I'm the most secure in the world, but I'm the only one participating. So it's not a practical world to live in. And people tend to forget that. When someone say, oh, the first thing you need to do is get hardware wallet. I say, this is the way crypto goes to nowhere. So it's a balance. And that's why we love the idea of something that kind of a just-in-time security or something that can evolve with the growth of your smart wallet. This is the things that makes the most sense. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm just diving into it. I got my smart wallet, and then my portfolio grows. Now I think that, okay, I need to increase my security level. And again, somehow there's a perception that the outside world is going after for you, and you're gonna lose your wealth because of people something outside of you. But I see the support ticket on the daily basis, and the truth is, people lose their shit by themselves. I mean, you're the security flow in the system. So that's why I think the basics of any kind of security system is by adding a bit of segmentation, right? Not having all your maybe funds in the same location, or you see it in the same location if you have multiple of them. Using multi-sig is always more secure than just one signature. That is why for multiple nuclear systems around the world, they are based on that segmentation principle. Like not any single human should have the say of launching a nuclear system. It's been around for decades in the security space and community. Is really well known that you should segment wherever you should segment, and depending on how much you need to protect, then you segment further. So it needs to be adjusted to what you want to secure, and you need to have a little bit of segmentation, but not too much. Otherwise, your system is so complex that you may end up locking yourself out. Right? And that balance, right? It's really hard to communicate that balance to someone that comes to the space, right? First, I just try to learn about crypto, which token to, and then you bombard them with additional layer of security and the right level of segmentation, and this is a lot. So the way
it's the hardest thing. It's the hardest thing about onboarding.
The way we did it for shares is not explaining about shares. We give them a picture, an emoji, something about a dolphin or a sea animal. We want to get to the same level of security where we give them a numbers or level, and they don't need to think too much about it. They know that we'll kind of give them some information about where they stand compared to the average users. So similarly, we're going to use a relative scale, not to say, well, we decide what is the right scales, and based on user feedback, say, well, this person was hacked or whatever. We aggregate across all of let's say 1,000 of users this year somehow lost a seed phrase or got hacked, and we look at it. Did they have multi-sig enabled? Right. What was the security level? How much needed to be protected? So we're going to have on-chain data, how much security is needed on average for protecting how much value. Nobody is thinking about in these terms in the world. Right now in the crypto space, nobody is thinking about this term. Gamification security, focusing on it, and making kind of a community-based relative scales to help them people position themselves based on what others think about their own security. And I think if we implement our vision, I think we're more likely going to be the most secure mobile application in the world for crypto. Yeah.
That would be amazing, mate. That would be amazing. I wanted to ask you about just on this whole, while we're on security, there are plenty of people out there who have, well, maybe not that many, but hopefully more in future. There are people out there who have phones that are de-Googled, so to speak. What an example is, say, Graphene OS. Now, for these people, a lot of the time they don't want to install like a Play Store, and they don't want to install these app stores. They just want to download the APK and install that, sideload it. Is that something that you guys are going to allow? Because I know that I did that. I did that with Staker App version 1. I just went on the internet and found it. I don't know how secure it was, but I did it in a VM and loaded it up on the system just to track some things. Is the version 2 APK going to be made available, or is it available?
Yeah, TBD. I mean, that kind of request is kind of very long tail, kind of ad hoc requests. It's like 0.1% of people concerned about these things. So
very little people concerned about it.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's very trivial to make the APK available, right? But it comes with other concerns that we're not, some risk that we're not willing to take right now. So at some point, we may consider just to do it. Another consideration is that we're using the Flutter technology just to build the application, and that allows us to target different platforms, so iOS, Android, Mac, Windows, and web. So, I mean, once we're done with the security features, I think the next on the list is a bunch of accessibility features like multiple currencies, multiple languages, multiple platform, including web. And web is the first one. So for us, it's kind of like somewhat trivial changes to say, well, how many of the features that we currently deliver on mobile we want to expose to the web? And maybe the hardware wallet seed phrase generation will always just be more on the device side, right? The mobile device side. But if you just want to use the tracker or start doing the interaction from your web browser and then confirm the transaction on the mobile application, that's what we're going to allow our users. So at least 80% of feature parity with the mobile version will be there on the web. And so we are looking around this summer for that. Yeah.
Summer. So this year, summer in
Yeah,
European
for
summer.
sure. Yeah, the European summer, sorry. And the one of the main reasons I think it's really advantageous for us is that if we really want to push more adoption and deliver a different kind of like information tool for crypto users broadly, we really want to push our QV ranking system with like the token listing. Right now we display about 100 tokens, but we can go much deeper. So having a web version that are easily shareable by influencers or crypto enthusiasts on the web, on the YouTubes, will help us just grow. And so web is part of the strategy. But we could go for growth first. But we said, no, we go for security first. That's where we're going.
Yep. That's I think that's the right way to go, man. That's the right way to go, because you have a security problem or a breach or something, it's all over, man. I mean,
growth doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about in version 1 there was referral link. So if you correct me if I'm wrong, if you sent your referral link to someone, let's say in a text message, and they clicked on it, it took them to the App Store, and then you would get like some sort of like maybe percentage of their
20%
the fees
of
that they
whatever
generated.
we charge. So it's a 20 long life referral, 20% of whatever we charge in USD term at the time of the transaction. And so two things that you mentioned for the referral. First of all, huge apologize to all the people that's contributed to the growth of Staker, because we have a referral system in place in the application. Right now it's only doing the attribution, but there's no way to redeem whatever value you collected over time, right? So that was kind of a limitation of V1. We didn't have enough foresight about like the redemption plan, and then the transaction fees were really high on this blockchain, and the business would go under if we had just to pay every person that has $5 and do a send for every person that collected $5 in referral
Doesn't
fees.
work. Yeah.
The business would go down so it was kind of we overlooked the implication of doing the program. What at least is guaranteed is like all the referrals that you've been collecting are still there and are being attributed, and now we are looking just to unleash that value back to users, and we're looking at two different means of doing it via one, token airdrop, and two, by allowing users to deduct their transaction fees. Let's say you collected $100 worth of referrals over the years. You can use that to pay for the fees instead of using your own tokens. It's actually even more gas efficient, because for us it's just kind of accounting trick, and there's no need to send tokens anywhere to any addresses. So that might be just the way we go after it. I think ultimately where we want to go is not even to be outside of the loop, right? So we're most likely going to have a token where some sort of like referral program going to be embedded in the token, a bit like what you saw in the HEX product when it first got released, right? You remember you had a referral system. So it would be fantastic if we were not even in the loop, and we were just kind of a third-party agent on top of that token to allow users to set up these different referrals on chain. But any other app builder that's on top of it, or someone on that would love just to use that token to build on top, will be able to also generate a revenue stream by using the referral link. Yeah.
So this will continue. So the referral will continue on version 2. Is that something that is continuing?
Yes. I mean, it's not going away. It's just the methods of payments or the implication for you to redeem the value. It was not fully fleshed out, and now we're just coming down to the details, and going to be most likely linked to a token that we put out. The
Well, that's
only thing
exciting,
that's
dude. It's exciting.
and the advantage is, like,
I'm
if
sure
you do
some
that,
people complain though. You know, Steph, there's always someone who's going to complain. But I actually like the idea of doing a token airdrop for it. I think that's.
I mean,
more potential in that,
it would be airdropped, and then ultimately we would like just to have, let's say, all your referral. We want to be as much as possible outside of the loop, right? So imagine a system where whenever you have a new referral with a smart wallet, well, there's some sort of on-chain a record of, like, hey, these are my referrals, and you could claim and you're the one deciding auto collect, the token that goes or the fees that you've been generating, without having us to ask us for anything, and it's kind of immutable on chain. That's the vision that we have, because then it's less strain on the business, and it's more in the spirit of crypto itself, right? So it's really similar. We're trying to get as much inspiration from what HEX did during the adoption, the launch phase, the adoption of amplifier phase, where any front end could basically have an address as a referral here, and basically you could make more coins based on the people staking or using the smart contract based on your address.
Nice. Well, I look forward to hearing more about that. So the next question is a question that I think you've been bombarded with by people in the Hedron ICOSA ecosystem. So I'm going to ask you from my perspective, realistically, how difficult is it for you, or how can I phrase it? Like the balance between difficulty and reward for this, the staker team in implementing a way for Hedron to be minted in the app. Is that something that you guys would consider implementing in future, if there was maybe even help from the Hedron team to do that sort of thing, to do code or whatever?
Yes, there are two aspects of the Hedron, any kind of like product actually, that we would want to integrate beyond HEX, right? We focus with kind of a HEX only app initially, and some people come up with small project here and there, and some of them are based on X, some of them are not based on X, and we keep getting requests, right? People tend to forget that most of the people in the HEX system have other tokens. They have some Ethereum, they have other things, and they're asking us as well, maybe less vocal and seen by the X community, because you have this bubble effect. They're requesting us for some features, right? And so when any community comes to us and say, hey, can you do that? Oh, you're a staking app, are you tracking? I love the design. I have a smart wallet and I have these different tokens. Can I do X, Y, Z? We have just to weigh the pros and cons of us just doing some deep integration versus light integration. When it comes to Hedron specifically, you have two components. You have the deep integration components, where we would just design, let's say, a deep integration of whatever you have actually in the official interface, where you can, set up your HSIs, contribute to the auctions, bid on them. It's a non-trivial amount of work, and that would just imply that the application becomes more complex, because it needs to service a very defined use case for a few hundreds of people. Because you have the set of people just using Hedron and ICOSA, right? Having EOS. And from our user base, having a smart wallet, it's a really, really small amount of people. And how many people are going to be engaged with that feature on a daily basis? So any effort put towards that divert us from the broader goal of adoption. Because I yet to be convinced, and nobody came up with the claims like, hey, how much of the Hedron and ICOS ecosystem contributed to the HEX growth? Versus having the people already in, just starting gambling with the token. They're like disrupting actually even the true initial intent of HEX, which is dealing with codification, right? Anyone that has Hedron, ICOSA, and even the max, you could say the maxi tokens, they are more likely just to gamble, being more short-term minded if they didn't have that, right? So for us, yeah, there's engineering consideration, philosophical consideration, but at the minimum, the thing that would not take us too much time is just to let users mint the Hedron that they can mint based on their shares, their HEX shares.
I think
the implementation
that
would be
is.
as
Steph, I think from my perspective, being able to mint, just that simple thing of being able to mint them would be very, very helpful to the people in Hedron who use Staker app, simply because if they can't do anything else in the ecosystem, they can just send it to another address. But the issue for them right now, they can access it by going, via Gnosis Safe and doing all that stuff if they are technically able to do that. The problem for them will be on PulseChain. Unless they've got another front end for them to be able to access the PulseChain Hedron mints, which, at this point in time, I don't know if Gnosis Safe are doing anything like that. So I can understand the concern of those people who have those Staker wallets, want to mint Hedron and are concerned when Pulse comes out, they're not going to have access to being able to mint them in an easy way. That I can understand that. So, if it was easy,
it's that mint aspect, and the way we would just implement it is one-click button. And actually, for any token that maybe you can claim, all this type of things, we're planning just to have a place in the app within the wallet section where you can see anything related to claims or airdrop, and you have kind of one-click buttons about just redeem or claim for anything that you're basically owed.
I see your point of view, though. I definitely see your point of view, and it's like at the end of the day, you're running a business here. It's an app. You're providing a lot of value to a lot of people for free, and the thing is that if it's possible to be able to do that mint thing, that would be very helpful to a certain number of hexagons. But I can totally understand that, like, the complexity in that Hedron ICOSA ecosystem might just be too much for you guys to have to, to go and implement all that stuff. I can understand that. Like, that's not like, doesn't make me upset. I fully understand that that's a legitimate thing for you guys, point of view for you guys to have.
I think there's a path forward. I think in the short term, yeah, having that one-click button, I think we have the infrastructure to do it, which is going to be just formatting for any given account, just formatting the right transaction, and the user just need to sign them on their end. It's got a one-click button that would just submit the transaction. The longer-term approach for us, in any case, any blockchain, any dApp, not for us to be in a way, is to do something similar to what MetaMask is doing, or any kind of like a wallet extension, right? You would just download the Staker app web extension, or go to something similar to the Gnosis Safe UI, and then we just load whatever website is there, and your safe is seen by the dApp as any other account, right? That's kind of the silver lining. So to do that, I think it will take us a bit of time because we have a lot of different priorities. So we're actually starting probably this week to hire more people, right? We're gonna probably double or triple the size of our engineering team to make sure that the product and that anybody can use DeFi in the ways they intend to be, right? So in terms of implementation, the way it's gonna look like is like you download the Staker app extension. Maybe you have a QR code and you do like a remote sign-in with your wallet. You can sign at a distance, and then you use DeFi the same way you would use it with MetaMask, benefiting from all the technology that we put together with Staker. So same thing, you can pay with any token that you want to pay, like fees with different tokens. You can your transaction are guaranteed. So all the technology we have, we still benefit, right? So the overall solution is still better than having just a pure MetaMask without the complexity. But we need to build. I mean, there's no. I wish I had like 10 more hands, next to me, just we have like 20 projects basically on the backlog.
Yeah,
So
yeah. In time, Steph. In time, step by step. But look, what you guys have come up with is amazing. I love that app. I really do. I suggest it to everyone who I onboard. And yeah, look, thank you very much for coming on. I know we've gone a little bit over time. You did say that you had like half an hour to 40 minutes.
I can actually stick around. Yeah, I can stick around. If there's more questions, I can stick around.
Yeah, well, why don't I throw it out to the people in the chat? I know some people had asked some questions earlier on. See if I can scroll back and find what these questions are, and I'll put them up on the screen. So just bear with me 1 second, and I'll have a look. Okay, this question is from Finbear, but it sort of doesn't really. I'll put it up, but I'm not grasping. Maybe you understand what he's talking about. I don't. It says, "Hey Steph, I still can't see any value in the other accounts."
I think the best if you have any like support issue, please just use help@staker.hub, because I mean that's the best, seamless, streamline. We can track things. Having expectation of me sorting a support issue over live stream is not reasonable.
Yep. Now I think there was. So the question, but that's Finbear, the same person, just saying, thanking, very much appreciated.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Okay. Oh, here's one. Does StakerApp version 2 show good accounted stakes like version 1?
I'm guessing so. It's hard to, I'm not sure what that person implies, but the way we were displaying the stakes in version 1 was using a feature called accordion features, where you do we categorize the stakes in different life cycle of the stakes, like is it pending, is it actually active or late, good accounted. So we had like different categories, and this was how we were displaying the app. Now we just kind of change a bit the layout. Things are sort of being vertical, they're horizontal. I need to flip through all of them. And I mean, the key difference, I think, with the V2 is we were not exposing the good account features for users. So I think it's a very important feature that now is being exposed. But I'm not sure how to answer the question. It really depends on what's the need.
Yep. Okay. I think, from my understanding, that they're just saying, can they still see the good accounted stakes in V2? Can they still access them through the app?
There's no reason why
Maybe
they shouldn't see them. Yeah.
Maybe the UI is slightly different. He hasn't found how to see them.
Yeah. So look through. You have these different stake categories, and I think the last one is the closed category. So they might have been classified there. I haven't looked at recently latest changes, but they should be classified at least there, and you would see them as on the individual stakes. You'll see the little accounted label on the top right of the stake item. So
I've got a question here from DoClover100. There used to be a weekly StakerApp show on YouTube that provided updates and the progress in StakerApp, new ideas, design, etc. Why did this end?
Yeah, I think the answer is twofold. First, let's say we were in the middle of the bear market, so the return on investments for creating that show was not, I think, the most logical for us as a business. And secondly, I think I just need, to grow the team and hire more people, just to have dedicated focus on that project, where it's kind of like an outreach, marketing, branding, visibility role. And I'd like to have someone just to focus on that. So if there's anyone interested to have that kind of, I love to speak and animate shows, and want to do that for us, just please reach out to me. I'll be happy to look for your profile.
You hear that, guys? You hear that? Steph is looking for workers. He's looking for people to do some jobs.
So we're looking for 4. We're gonna expand the team with 4 engineers. We tend to hire senior people. Like I work with the best at Google, so I know on the market what should you pay and what can you get and what you should pay for it. So engineers, and then 1 designer, 1 person for the support, and probably 1 for any marketing related effort, community building, marketing, leading a show, anything that could come up with. I would be glad just to have. So yeah, just reach out. I think we are very cool, small team, it's a remote team. Some people are in the US, some people are in Europe. No micromanagement. So yeah, reach out.
Remote work. It's remote work. You don't have to be in France, right? Don't have to be in France.
No, myself, I'm not in France actually. So
Well, just as
I
well, man.
live across multiple
Last day,
countries. So
I've seen some videos of France, the what's like the protests and stuff recently. It's getting a bit fiery up in France recently, hasn't it?
yeah, I mean, imagine a whole society population from the age of 6 to 18 every year in the history civic programs. We tell you that you cut the head of your king because he was not good enough with you, and that's the French spirit. We have kind of a revolution mindset inside us. So
I love it.
This part of the
I love it.
The thing is the media will always focus on the fire and the flames, but most of the time is okay. It's like they will just put the camera where the action is, but in 99% of the rest of the cities, there's nothing happening.
I love
Good
that
to see you,
spirit.
buddy. Haven't spoken to you for a while, Steph.
Jigsaw.
How's it going, mate? Are you just talking about the riots over your way?
Yeah, I'm not even there, but I've seen a couple of friends just sharing stuff.
Yeah. You guys don't mess around when you have a protest, do you?
Yeah,
They know how to do it.
I think the reason why they want that people are protesting is just they want to increase the retirement age by 2, and this is where it makes even more sense to be in product like HEX, right? A long-term vision, something that generates yield, because it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to. Anyone actually in the world will be able to, if they thought that they would get some sort of pension because of their saving. Well, it's not guaranteed, right? It could be even private. Private with your bank, or more public with the state, depending where you are. You don't have this guarantee. So community money and tokens like HEX or others, right? You don't need to be a maxi, are great ways to hedge against what the state has been promising for a long time. And if the pensioner, in terms of size, the demographics is 3 times or 4 times bigger than my generation in the early 30s, well, we're not going to be able to pay for that Ponzi scheme that's been wrongly designed. So.
Yep.
The ultimate Ponzi. It's the ultimate Ponzi scheme.
Just for comparison.
I was just going to say the declining population in Europe is not the way that you assure the future generation of their pension.
Yeah, and the paradox is like you have these really far right sentiments where not only the population is declining, young people cannot actually afford us to pay for the pensioners, but it's also most of the pensioners are a bit very nostalgic of the old times and refuse influx of population coming from the south. In France, that would be from Africa, but in Germany from Turkey. And so the equation doesn't work, right? Someone has to pay the bill, and that's why that's the expression of you see in the streets is people struggling to articulate their pain and their fears, and that comes with violence. I mean, through human history, that's been the case. So.
That's not just you guys either. Most Western countries are top heavy in terms of they had the baby boomer go through, and everyone's like that. I think I've seen a statistic today. I think Nigeria is the one that's probably positioned the best. It's flipped the other way, where it's got a really young generation coming through that's much larger than the aging population. So they're probably going to be something to keep an eye on over the coming decades, because they'll be in a pretty strong position relative to how we're all going.
Not in my household, mate. I got 3 kids.
You're doing your part.
I'm doing my part. One for mum, one for dad, one for the country.
So
there's a bit of I think it's really interesting because we're all a community of like more like long-term minded people are looked in the past decades, and it became rare, I think, in this day and age where people are just looking for instant gratification and likes on social media. And it's kind of like going to be a very interesting situation in the next actually 2 decades. Like, who's paying for the pensioners? How do we deal with automation and AI? And who's paying? Is there a robot tax being included? How that technology gets spread across? And I think the fear that you see in France for the pensioners and the movement towards far rights in Europe and throughout the world, it will continue just to happen because there's no political solution being brought to the market just to address all these fears. So.
I think I know what the solution's going to be. The solution for all this stuff is going to be the CBDCs, and that's what they're going to
their solution,
promise to the people wanting. They say, we're going to pay you your pension in the CBDC, and people are going to be like, well, as long as I get my money, I'm going to be happy. And I think that's the angle they're going to go at. They're going to go that angle because, like, how else do you get people to accept, the drawbacks of that type of system,
Well,
but it kind of already exists in a sense. Right? They did some beta testing during COVID. It's like, hey, let's hand over our money directly to all users. And I mean, the banking cartel is so regulated and entwined with political power that if they want to say, well, these top 5 banks in any country's top 5 banks are the one distributing, their digital means, the money, that's, you don't need crypto, you don't need nothing. It's like, it's already there. It's like,
yep. Yeah. I think Richard thought he was doing the world's biggest airdrop. I think countries will come out and give everyone a lot of free money with their CBDCs. There'll be a lot of little carrots dangled in front of people to get them to onboard to that, I reckon.
In the short term, that may benefit the adoption and growth of crypto, right? You want more people just to question the system. So I think we're in really like blurry phase where the umpire is trying to counterattack. We see it with the SEC latest movement in the US. But I think throughout the board, it's going to be this massive geopolitical chess game in terms of like currency, value, and sovereignty. So having community money should be a fairly good age compared to any shenanigans that these state actors are trying to coming up with.
I wish I was as optimistic as you in terms of people switching on to realize that there's an issue here. I think it's going to take people a long time before they register that.
Green candles. They need green candle.
Yeah, that's it. And anyone in crypto is probably they're probably more aware of what's going on, but most people are just going about their day-to-day life and they don't give a shit about central bank digital currencies or even know what they are. So it's going to be a bit of a steep learning curve, I think. Hopefully it does, like you say, wakes a few people up and they realize that the system is a bit broken.
Yep.
Yeah, we need
just
to
got
dial
a couple more questions.
Dial up the gamification in the app so it's on board faster.
That's it.
Yeah. There's a question here. When iOS update?
We've just submitted today the app. We had a couple of back and forth with the team for make sure that things were very stable on iOS. Submitted the app for review. So on average in the past it took 24 hours. So stay tuned. The optimistic date could be tomorrow or Thursday. But if the iOS team says that, okay, something not wrong with our branding, with some performance in the app, they will come back to us, right? That's and this I don't know. So stay tuned. We're really days away. There's nothing more I can share.
How do you guys go with? Because I'm pretty sure Apple and Google, they're pretty heavy-handed in terms of any sales that happen within apps. They've got to take a certain percent. I think it's about 30% cut on revenues. How does that affect you guys?
Yeah, this is a bit shit in the sense that the the app is free to download on both platforms, but the only thing that we charge in-app is the smart wallet, which we are not actually making any money off, right? It's like we pre-provision tens of thousands of smart wallet on-chain. So we pay for the gas for creating this smart contract. And it's just marginal cost for changing the ownership of when people are purchasing, actually, we're just changing the ownership of things that we pre-provision for our users. And yeah, the easiest way for us to onboard users initially to get the smart wallet when they did not have crypto was to use in-app payments. And both platforms, they are doing price fixing, illegal price fixing. It was at 30% post-COVID, and at COVID said, well, we're going to be kind for new developers. We're going to reduce that take rate to 15%. So whenever you purchase a smart wallet with us, there's 15% of that value. It's just $10 or $9 goes to Apple and Google for no specific reason, but that's the way the duopoly is currently set up. They act, in any market you have price differences. Here they just have the same take rate, so it's clear that they don't have enough competition.
I think even like Twitter, I think they had the same issue as well. I think if you want to pay the that fee, I think they got clipped on that as well. It's like I say, it's criminal what they do. Like you got no option.
They don't even let you. They say, well, if you have let's say you're Netflix, or they put pressure on all players to say, well, if a user is going through the payment flow in the app, you cannot bounce it out of the app to continue the payment flow outside, where we cannot charge the tech fee. They want you to do the in-app payments, and so there's a lot of back and forth with larger companies as well. There's being bullied around, especially more by iOS than Google. They're a bit more loose there in their enforcement. But yeah, I mean, that's what politicians are for, it's been Western world where things are supposed to be free market and capitalistic. This duopoly should have been dismantled or pressured a long time ago for the bad antitrust behavior that they.
It's rent seeking. It's rent seeking, really. They just. It's sort of like what the mafia does. The mafia goes around knocking on doors and saying, "Hey, you want to be here? Pay me the money."
And the truth is, when they charge for this thing and say, well, we're adding value about all these different features with the App Store and the Play Stores for developers just to make an income, but it's kind of like bullshitting in the sense that what they're providing with these two stores is just providing you with internet endpoint, kind of a link,
a gateway
to download an APK or whatever, like bundle file extension you have to get the app. It's just a kind of a link, right? The app is just like a listing and the link. So yeah, it's almost like the open web lost that battle of like hosting. You would want kind of a new open format to have some sort of like app files being downloadable directly from the web and not from these providers.
Or maybe it gets regulated as a utility. I mean, not that I don't love more regulation, but less regulation that's good is good, And if you look at it, like Android and iOS, they're the biggest games in town. Those two would make up a huge percentage of users, phone users, and they're using those two app stores. So they're basically a duopoly when it comes to.
And they've been extremely smart in their growth in the past 10, 15 years. And I was at Google, so I know the conversation, by deeply vertically integrating the entire business model from the hardware level to the software stack, right? So now for any new players coming in, well, it takes such amount of capital just to come in to compete with any hardware manufacturer, right? I mean, one of the top in the world on the Android side is Samsung. You cannot compete in terms of costs and this kind of efficiencies they've managed to acquire, and because they lean on the Android stores and ecosystem. Anyone that wants to disrupt that needs to think about almost a new world, a niche world, and you're willing just not to make any profit at the beginning. The best example that we have that is in the crypto world, the Solana ecosystem, where they want to come up with their own mobile. And some people may disagree with just bash on dunk on Solana for the level of centralization or the fact that their chain has been halted a few times, but you should at least encourage such efforts of people trying to create more like a crypto native mobile fund, and hope that whatever teams or buildings have new crypto focused funds benefit from the rise of crypto, just to disrupt from the outside the incumbents on the traditional world. That's, I think, the only hope, just to reclaim the hardware battle there.
Yeah, well, I think
I've got a question here. Sorry, Jex, I'll just read this
No, you
question. It's been up for a while. And I think I can answer this. It says, can you migrate a Staker app wallet to a ledger or a cold or other cold storage? And I guess there's a bit of nuance here in the meaning of the question, because are they talking about the actual, the ownership, or are they talking about the wallet itself, the contract? So if you're talking about the contract, the answer is no. The contract is the contract, but you can put the seed phrase that the owner address seed phrase into a hardware wallet. You can do that, and then from what you were mentioning earlier, Steph, then that could be, you could sign that way via a hardware wallet.
Yeah, I mean, the best visualization or analogy that I can give is really like the Gnosis safe for smart wallet is a virtual safe hosted on the blockchain, and right now you just have one key which is derived from your seed phrase that opens the safe, and we're just gonna present you with new slots to add more keys to lock or unlock your safe. That's, I think, the best analogy I can give. If you the question now becomes, hey, can I move the smart wallet, which is a smart contract, on the ledger? No, there's no smart contract that can be moved onto a ledger. What the ledger can host is different keys or seed phrases, right? So that's, I think, the best way to think about it, right?
So I've obviously missed a bit of the conversation. So that's your intention, is you're going to start enabling more ways for people to access the Gnosis safe side of things?
Multi-sig,
Yes, I mean, before June, that's something that's going to be our primary focus. Is just we have two security features that we really want to push to market. I mean, right now we went to launch because PulseChain launch is imminent. So we wanted to be ahead of that. Just make sure that the app is in the hands of everybody. But really, I think what we're the most passionate about, I think, for this year, and first we started with two security features: is recovery, one of them, and the other one is multisig. We understand that not everybody will want to use multisig, and we're not going to recommend to everybody. It depends on how much you want to secure. If you have $100 and you have such a complex setup that it's not really required for the amount of things that you want to protect, we're not going to promote it to you or just say, well, are you sure? Do you want to do this? A lot of education around security in the application, a bit of gamification around it. So you can revisit the beginning of the episode we're discussing about that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the way everything's going to head in terms of we're all used to having these seed words, which if you lose them or something like that, you're in a bit of strife. But I think the new way with using contracts to do things and MPC, where you can share slices of the keys around and things like that, seems to be where it's all
segmentation.
All
that's the core. I think that's the core principle of any security system organization has to do with segmentation. I always give the example of the nuclear systems, right? You just don't have one person having the keys for nuclear energy. It's like multiple keys spread across different people that are not at the same place at the same time, right?
Yep.
And that's the basics for any security. Any banks, any cloud providers have redundant databases and data centers in different places in the world, and they watch for the risk of disasters in this location. What happens if like 2 out of 3 of their data centers goes down? What do we do? So I think it's about slowly that what we're trying to put into the product, the same way the share system was hard to comprehend to users, and we really like condense that complexity into emojis. We want to do something a bit gamified as well on the security side, where different level, depending on how much you need to protect.
Yeah. So V2, that's been in the works. That was about a 2-year journey to go from when you first thought about that to getting it to market. Is that correct?
It's 2 years since we released the V1 version, but realistically, we started working on it like a year ago. So I'd say a year.
Yep. Do you find it pretty hard to keep up? Because obviously the ecosystem around HEX, all these things keep evolving, and everyone wants everything added yesterday. Do you find that a bit of a challenge trying to keep up and decide what you're going to take?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed. We did a little retreat back in. I went to Florida to catch up with the team in February, and we all came to the conclusion that okay, we just need to scale the size of the team. And we haven't been at all aggressive right now in terms of like even the way we structure the business model. We are mostly rely on fees, and we're well below, I think, some of the competition. For example, MetaMask is charging twice on average more than we do, and they don't even have a cap, but we have a cap. So because we were fee-based initially, and we had to go through the bear market, it's mostly my own personal fund and my co-founders' funds going into the business right now. We're paying for salary, server cost, everything basically, legal cost out of pocket. We came to this conclusion that okay, if we want to scale, we need to hire more and eventually find a way just to make the business more profitable, raise money. So we had to initiating a few changes in this V2. We observed a bit of backlash. It was expected because we gave a lot for free, and it's not sustainable if we really want to realize our mission, serving the community and maybe some derivative product. But also there's other communities that needs to be served, and we think that we have a say into which kind of wallets and technology solution we can bring to them too. So again, we really expect also to have a bit of backlash there from maybe the more radical religious HEX member because they don't see the bigger pictures and they think that everybody on Earth will have HEX, which is unlikely.
I think I guess the elephant in the room. You did cop a bit of flack when V2 dropped by a few people. But let's be honest, you guys have never taken a nickel from the community in terms of a sacrifice or anything like that. Like you're saying, you've pretty much funded the whole enterprise yourself. So I mean,
my message, we put it in like hundreds of thousands of personal money into it. So anyone that wants to complain, we had a donation address. People say, well, it should be a community project, and people speak a lot, but we haven't seen any donation coming through as well. So. It's a business. We've been fairly generous, giving a lot away for free. Now we're just trying to be a bit smarter and restructuring the business, and we expect a new bull run to come in. And so we need to be ready in terms of having a sizable team to serve not only HEX community but other communities. And if we all agree on the goal that we should be sovereign over our own money, what's the point of bickering on this is my token, this is my flag, and this is my Bitcoin, my Ethereum? I prefer a world where faster than later, more people have some crypto, regardless of the type of crypto they hold.
Yeah, I think you're right. We all get bogged down in the tribalism of this space because everyone, let's face it, everyone's got money. Yeah, everyone's got money on the line. Yeah, so they want to obviously back their horse. But we're all here for the same reason. Getting the mad gains is good, but I think a lot of us see the bigger picture and where this is going, especially what we've seen the last few years. And I think we've got to...
It could be the case that if we don't get to fast adoption fast enough, we could... the whole crypto game, right, experiment could actually fail, right? If the empire contracts and we end up in a situation where larger power in place manage to lock things up with different kind of like nasty regulation, that would set us up like decades in the past. So I really wish that people had. So I understand the economic incentive and the wish to say, well, I just have one bag and I want my bag to go up, but it will go up. If more people come into the space, right? So I think that's why we're pivoting a little bit and broadening the kind of like community we want to serve. Because from a business standpoint, it doesn't kind of make sense, and also from a philosophical standpoint for realizing a mission, there's some people that will never touch HEX, and once you make that
you're casting a wider net. You're casting a wider net. Yeah.
And now imagine in the app we have different staking protocols or product, and we can just by displaying data on chain, showcasing what are the ones that are the most active in terms of community trade volume, the most long-term minded, the kind of net ROI they have since the day they came in, and then when they came out. Right now, you can look on chain and say, well, this is the average holder of Shiba Inu versus the average holder, not even looking at stakers, of HEX, and look at ROI. So all this data, imagine you had an app where you can see all this data on chain side by side. It's like, what is the things that tends to be the most profitable over 3 years, right? And once we have this type of things in data, if you're really convinced about the HEX product, people will flock towards the best product in the market.
Yep.
If they are compared side by side.
It's like when you see fast food restaurants, they don't just build a McDonald's in the middle of nowhere. They put it next to all the other food places because
where the activity is.
That's it. And you've got a hub that draws people in, and you might get the walk by of someone changes their mind, or they look at something else and I'm going to try this today. So I think
then it's pure competition, and users vote with their dollars on merits. And that's why I think I understand the fear, the frustration. We're still like emerging from the bear markets. People have been probably over leveraged on the PulseChain that they're waiting. So I also feel like we're taking the slack for a product that we're not even responsible for, right? I'm not responsible for PulseChain. And if people could be a bit more patient with, I think, the adoption of crypto in general, I think, we'll see better results. So we'll see. I think we'll do our best just to broadening the crypto adoption. Some people will want to use different solutions, different wallets, different protocols, and our goal is just to embrace all users. We're tool builders at the end of the day. We have actually personal financial incentive for HEX to do really well. So I just want to remind people that myself and my co-founder, we're really well incentivized for the future progress of HEX. But even given that, we are broadening our horizons because we see that the pie is growing outside, and you need to reach out to different communities.
Yep. Well, I think to some degree that was even forced upon you because of PulseChain.
Some of it, yes. Some of it.
If you're going to fork a whole of Ethereum and people want to be able to access their stuff, you get to support.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I think in the short term, in terms of implementation, yes, but in terms of vision, not. I mean, I look back, the first design of StakeUp was back in June or July 2020, right? So nearly 3 years ago. And we had this debate with Sam, my co-founder, also known as Fireburn, about, hey, are we just a HEX-only app, or are we just locking ourselves while we're not even guaranteed that this is going to work, right? We're building a business here. And so, well, now let's try to create something that has a broader mission. So it does staking, and we anticipate more competition to come into the space. And that's why we created StakeUp and not HEX app.
Yep.
And the first actually design mock are actually showing HEX side by side with different protocols like Kyber network staking, SNX staking, synthetic staking. That's what we're in the initial mock. So most people don't know the history of what we built, and has made just a logical but wrong assumption that we will only just serve the HEX ecosystem.
Yeah. Hey, what's your relationship like with the Gnosis team? Because obviously they've watched you guys explode, and you were arguably probably one of the biggest users of their protocol. Yet they're probably sitting there going, "Well, do we want to associate ourselves with Richard?"
The biggest holder of Safe Token, or maybe one of the biggest delegated.
So
I think a lot of people delegated their safe tokens to you guys.
Yeah, we try to be very transparent. A lot of our users just entrusted us with the delegation, and something we could have make it easier for people to delegate and collect their claim for safe in app. And V2 was not around, so it was not easy for us to do, but it will come as well for any kind of token. But the relationship with the safe team has been evolving mostly positively, in the sense that at the beginning I met up with the product lead at Gnosis. They're based in Germany. It's a remote team, but mostly based on Berlin and Denver, Colorado. And it was interesting first meeting. He said that he heard about HEX, and that team heard about it, and they were surprised that some of the folks in the HEX community were just using the safe because they thought, okay, it was a scam. Why serious people would build something using our pristine tech? And so we met with the safe team, with the arbitral team, with the infra team for the past 3 years. And in a sense, I think on technical level, we were kind of like the Trojan horse of the X community, just putting the word out there that this is a serious project and serious builders building on top of it. So again, most people don't know what's happening behind the scene, but we did a lot of work. So I will not even be surprised that some people exist in their teams, even if they don't claim it publicly. They had to look into X and eventually invest based on what we were doing.
Yep.
So a fairly good relationship. It evolved to the point that now we are kind of like a known partners of them, and they love what we've been building. We're the largest distributor of safe on the Ethereum chain, and now it's expanded to more chains. And I think the largest chains where you have like more than what is it? What is the number? 500,000 safe have been created in Polygon chain as well. So I think the whole product itself is exploding. They received $100 million raise last year, I believe, and so they're using that money just to solidify the team, the tech, and the promotion of the product as part of what the product does in the future, and the way our users and Mexicans could benefit from that is they have this solid platform, this safe ecosystem platform, to which you can, for each safe, you can add what is called a safe module, meaning extending the capability of your base capability, which is just multi-sig capability of your safe, to say, well, I want my safe to say, if the value transacted goes beyond, let's say, $100,000, I need 2 signatures. Anything below that, it would be 1 signature. Or if there was no signature, let's say, I want a special roles for a specific signer. Let's call it inheritance kind of signer or kind of backup. There's no privilege whatsoever on the safe until no transaction occurred for the past, let's say, 10 years. So if nothing has been signed on the safe for 10 years, then you have this address that will then become admin privilege. And all this safe is something right now with the team, and we had discussion with the safe team, as they're looking into builders and smart contract builders to enhance the capability of the safe. But from their point of view, all of these things just become very powerful if you have people like us that are building an interface that makes it easy to use the smart contract, right? Because these modules are fairly small in size, right? Like fairly conditional modules to say, hey, if this, then that. But you need kind of the end user application to really showcase the full value of the safe. So they do a lot of hackathon these days. I think we've been promoted or highlighted in their raise of $100 million. Our logo, the Staker logo, was there, and we've been highlighted. So we have a good positive relationship. Sure.
So do you think they will come and fire up some of the infrastructure on PulseChain that they support on Arbitrum and things like that, or will that be left to our community to do?
No, they're not. They're not against PulseChain whatsoever. So we discussed very early on with them, and they just said that okay, it's a bit early for us because we have all these different channels. They've been focusing mostly on serving like mainnet chain that are a lot of already activity, and PulseChain has just been kind of like on the testnet. They didn't prioritize just having a frontend on top of it. But for them, I think the amount of work is fairly trivial. And we have our own effort internally where we forked all of their frontends are open source. So we have our own effort nearly ready to go just to be able to support that on the PulseChain side. And I had a few weeks ago, and I've been confirmed about it recently, that the liquid loan teams as well was looking into, if I'm not mistaken, just providing either porosity or liquid loan, providing some frontend as well for safe users.
Yeah. I think there was just I thought there was a few supporting contracts. I can't remember what Gnosis called them now. It was like service contracts or something, or I can't remember the terminology. Which I think someone has to run, and obviously they do that on all the other chains. I wasn't sure whether they were going to actually take the responsibility of that on PulseChain, or whether we've got to do all that.
Yeah, we had a contractor work, actually someone in the Mexican community that worked with us for 6 months just to prepare the work for that. So we have something fairly ready to go. So I don't think it will be ready when PulseChain is live, but yeah, I'd not be surprised if we manage to get it out at some point, something around the summer. Yeah, hosting the front end, having the servers, communicating with the front end, and relaying the value to the blockchain. The key thing tweak that we may add on top of it is just having our user benefiting from our relaying infrastructure, right? So right now, if you just use Gnosis Safe with the same MetaMask, you still need to found your signer address with some Ether or any address that is signing, the last one signing or executing the really pushing the transaction on chain needs to a bit of Ether just to pay for the gas. This icon abstraction engine that we put together, I think we want our users to benefit of that as well, right? So that's my answer for that.
I just have a question here and before I called him Do Clover, but now I'm reading it as Doc Lover. So will version 2 support the buying or swapping of privacy coins? I'm actually, I'm not sure what privacy coins there are on Ethereum, but will this cause an issue for US users and their current imminent legislation changes?
So right now we're just a front end, and our current legal framework is in France. So maybe the most we would have to be doing for users that were swapping some sort of token that should not be available for US users is maybe a disclaimer, but we would not go beyond that in any sort of fashion. And actually, right now, if you use the app and you have a safe, you can swap on Ethereum, I think more than 4,000 coins. We haven't flagged them with any tags saying, "Oh, this is a privacy token" or not. And if one of these tokens is, for example, the Torn token, that was a token issued for Tornado Cash, and you want to swap it, we won't block you. So, I mean, you're the user, you're the one making the action.
Torn in itself is just
it's not private.
There's nothing about the token.
So if you're talking about other coins that comes in with private blockchain like Monero or Zcash, well, right now we're just building on top of the EVM ecosystem. So anything that is EVM compatible, so kind of a clone or forked or derived from Ethereum, is what really we're focusing on right now, because we truly believe that they create a network effect so strong that everybody try to, even if you come up with a new blockchain, you have incentive to be EVM compatible. But as a builder, you have little incentive, unless you're making a gamble, say, well, I want to build on Solana because it's a niche ecosystem and I bet that this is gonna outgrow Ethereum or at least compete at the same level. We still believe that next few years, Ethereum is gonna be the top dog in the space. I mean, EVM compatible chains gonna be there for a long time. So.
Can I just ask, where does you just said that the staker is set up in France. Where does France and the EU stand on mixers on Ethereum that you know of?
I mean, it hasn't been as aggressive as the situation in the US, but I see some alignments. We are still in a situation where the US legal system has a lot of power in terms of extradition and pressure on the rest of the world, not only the EU. I believe that the gentleman that created Tornado Cash, if I'm not mistaken, was in the Netherlands.
In jail.
Was still, yeah. And so, I mean, we are not creating a privacy protocol just for people to mix. That's not what Staker is. I mean, if people build such solutions and it takes off and there's a legal framework that makes it okay for people to use, we'll be the first to offer it to our users. As it stands right now, I think, France and the rest of Europe feels that they need to catch up on crypto, or to provide a framework that's more generous and enabling innovation, because they are all have the feeling, all different country states, that they miss out on the Web 2 wave 20 years ago, and all the champions are US based, or now these days, Chinese based, and we're in the middle, like being vassal of these two powers. And so all European leaders, I'm talking about country states, like the French president, past few years, they've all been saying, this is Spanish tech, this is French tech, and they're embracing. They understand that this is a huge, huge importance for I think all European citizens to be involved and having a say that is somewhat decoupled from the US and China. So
I think it ties back into exactly what we were talking about before. Most nations are going to have an issue where they've got an aging population. They haven't got that next wave of whatever it is that are going to be able to fund their economies. They're not going to, just because the US is coming down hard doesn't mean everyone else will. There will be a country that will see that as a revenue source that will embrace it. And I was actually surprised at Australia, because I thought we were going to head straight down the path of the US guys, but they actually backtracked. The Department of Treasury backtracked a little bit, probably about 3 or 4 months ago, where they said, "Look, we're going to hold off for a little bit before we go making any rash decisions on how we categorize these things, and because we don't want to stifle the innovation."
One thing that crypto has to go for, and I don't hear many people bring that argument forward, is the more time passes, the more the old people that never would have touched crypto anyway and would be against it, dies off, right? And have less political, obviously, because they're no longer around, power. And not only that, the youngsters that have crypto, it's so diffused in the population that they talk about it, and maybe the next parliament member, their grandkids have crypto, and they talk about it the last Christmas. And so the more time passes, the more it's going to be difficult for any politician not to recognize that, hey, most people don't have most of their wealth in crypto. Most people have crypto, and you don't need to have more than 50% of the population. You need to have substantial amount of people that have a little bit of crypto for hating any politician that would go after even $100 of them.
Yep.
So I think we're not that far along. There's still a lot of progress, right? You need to move the needle from whatever low digit percentage adoption to maybe 15 to 20%. But then this is where I think the flip is switching, and there's no going back. I mean, the genie is already out of the bottle, like conceptually, and for it to be really, really like robust and stable in all societies, I think we need to that next bull run. I think is going to be very, very critical.
Well, I think that's
I agree with that.
I think that's the point.
It's going to be
I think
critical.
I think that's the point where we are in the US now. I think the incumbents they've recognized, okay, this was a novelty for the last few years. Now it's pretty serious. Like, they can see there's a big change coming if they don't act now. So I think they're throwing everything they possibly can to try and curtail it a little bit. Just going to chuck at it from every single angle. And I think you're right, Steph, that if this could be the chance that if we don't get our shit together as a broader community, and we bicker and fight amongst ourselves as opposed to focusing on the adoption, it could be a lost opportunity. So I think I agree with you. Like, this could be the make or break. This run here. If we get the adoption levels up, then, like you say, that government officials are beholden to their constituents, and if a vast percentage, or like say even 20-30% of their constituency hold crypto, they're not going to be able to do negative things towards that industry, because it'll impact their position in their government.
Because imagine already how people, because of their bags, whether it's big or small, are behaving towards each other in the crypto space. Now imagine you do a kind of 10x of that. We're moving from 2% to 20% of globally of crypto adoption. These people against It's not gonna be really, really against the government if they were just going after what they are and the promise that they could see in the crypto ecosystem. And then you can have like some global arbitrage eventually saying, well, what are the countries are supporting freedom and liberties? And then it's slow because not everybody can move their family and move around easily, but capital can be flowing, through companies. And so you're gonna see more. There's going to have this kind of a competition between. It's already happening. You see pocket of that happening in the world. In the Middle East is Dubai. In Europe, you have the Portugal and Estonia. This is going to accelerate.
I've got a clip here from a US politician called Tulsi Gabbard. Let me just play it. I think it's relevant to. It's in relation to the Restrict Act and just her response to that. So let me just bring this up.
Now, the Restrict Act is nothing short of a betrayal of our democracy, as it seeks to impose this digital iron curtain, allowing our own government to monitor our every move, censor our online speech, and crush any dissent, all under the guise of national security. Now, the Restrict Act is a direct affront and threat to our democracy, and we must take a stand and fight to ensure that it does not pass. Now, the Restrict Act is nothing short of a betrayal of our democracy.
So it's not all uphill. There are politicians out there that do see what we see, and I think she's quite a well-known US politician. She used to be a Democrat, and she left the Democrat Party. So I think there's more of them coming out of the woodwork, and I've got someone else here. Let me just bring this up. This was a tweet from Warren Davidson, and this is in relation to. Let me go to this tweet here. It was in relation to the SEC and what they've been doing lately, because an SEC commissioner, Hester Peirce, has managed to articulate all that hits awfully close to home. And let me just read that because it's It says rather today's commission aggressively expands its regulatory reach to solve problems that do not exist. Today's commission treats its basic approach to exchange regulation as something that must not, indeed cannot, be altered to allow room for new technologies or for new ways of doing business. Today's commission tells entrepreneurs trying to do new things in our markets to come in and register. When entrepreneurs find they cannot, the Commission dismisses the possibility of making practical adjustments to our registration framework to help entrepreneurs register, and instead rewards their good faith with an enforcement action. Today's Commission treats the notice and comment rulemaking process not as a conversation, but as a threat. So there's another example of someone in, I guess, in the bureaucracy who's turning around and saying, hang on a second, what's going on right now is not the way it should be, and it's not optimal. So these are positive things that we're seeing, but we shouldn't rest on our laurels, as people who are, I think it's fair to say, I don't want to speak for Steph, but I feel like I can say that the rest of us here, love the idea of DeFi. I would say that Steph probably, loves the idea of DeFi as well, and we want to do what we can to promote DeFi ideas. But it's heartening to see this sort of stuff happening, and these sorts of tweets.
Yeah, I think more and more people are coming forward and showing their support for the industry. And it's not even just about supporting crypto itself. I think it's more about there's guys in the SEC that are just running roughshod over everyone, and it's not a good place to be. Like, it's actually hurting their country, although they don't realise it. A lot of their tech innovation will go elsewhere if they don't get their shit together. So it's good to see people actually standing up for it.
Yep.
I think every country will get its turn. I think the US is they've obviously got the most to lose, so they're pushing pretty hard. So I hope all the guys in the US that can fill out the comment forms and stuff that have been going around, if they can do that, that's got to help.
What's going on, Tangent? You're sitting quietly in the corner there.
Yeah, no, I'm just listening in. I was at a physical meetup, a crypto meetup.
I was just going to actually mention that to you, because you sent out a tweet the other day saying you've got more friends hitting you up.
That was unrelated to these guys. These guys were already in crypto.
Yeah.
This is one of the dudes was like, "Oh, I'm going to start running in-person meetups again. Would you be interested in coming?" And this was the first one. So I guess now that it's like bull market again.
Yeah.
I have also had normie friends that are like not in crypto who have kind of been thinking about it for probably years.
10 years.
And yeah, no, not that long. Like somewhere, but some of them are between like 1 and 3 years that they've been thinking about getting into crypto. And now I think they've seen the prices start to head up this year, and they're freaking out that they don't, like, a bit like, how every time experienced crypto people get wrecked every bear market, and you're like, next bear market, I promise myself I'm not going to get wrecked. I'm going to take some profits on the way up. These guys are doing the opposite, where they're like, I'm definitely going to make sure I get in before and not miss another bull. You know what I mean? So experienced people are like, oh, I'm going to make sure I don't get wrecked by another bear. And normies are like, I'm going to make sure I don't miss another bull. And so they're on that side of that. I think they see it happening, and they're starting to get scared that they're going to miss another bull run.
I was just saying, it's funny that you mentioned that, because out of the blue, I've had 2 or 3 people hit me up over the last week to catch up and have a chat and find out how to get into crypto. So
yeah, the same on my end. Yeah, a few people starting to FOMO at the margin, and it's by wave. So you have this first few wave, it might cool down for a few months, and by the end of the year, we have a larger wave of people that see things can start panicking, and it might be the last one, or there's another one right after that for the top, right? But it's starting to happen. I have a couple of conversations as well, similar to yours recently.
And it's what I think is really awesome is a completely different range of people. One guy's retired, another guy's a young dude that runs a business. So it's a whole spectrum of people, which is really good to see. I think that's the beauty of it. Like, there's not one. It's not just one small subset. Now, it's heavily sort of biased towards males between, I think it's like 35 and 45 or something, sort of the main demographic. But I see that sort of spilling over a lot more now. People that you wouldn't have thought would be interested are waking up and going, well, I've just watched banks collapse. I've seen the stock market tank. There's got to be another solution. There's no safe place to hide at the moment. So I think people are open to other ideas.
Did you guys see the updated HEX Daily Stats website? This is, I guess,
added liquidity for Ether.
Yeah, let me bring it up. There we go.
Oh, this is cool.
I think that was DAI liquidity. Yeah, I believe that.
Oh, so it's got the testnet, PulseChain testnet.
Cool.
Yeah. HEX price is at $5.
Yeah, it's nice. A nice aspirational price right there.
Influencers who promoted
Also, did you guys see this? Kyle's been online again.
I don't know. Is that what happened last time? Do you think he's the one pushing the go button?
I don't know, but last time, he might be the last you know, the last set of eyes that go over it, you know, when everyone else has gone, maybe his eyes are the last set of eyes that go over it. Who knows?
No.
And so what are we looking at?
I reckon it's definitely Richard's brother that will have the last look.
This is GitLab, yeah. This is a screenshot of GitLab, probably.
Okay. And does it show what's been going on?
It says last activity 18th of April.
Oh, but it doesn't actually say what
the
that
tweet,
activity was.
No, but the tweet is last time Kyle was online, PulseChain version 3 went live.
Nice.
So that it's sort of like, you know, joining the dots, tying a long bow.
Canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. Gentlemen, I will have to leave. So thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation, chatting a bit about security, staker, and more broadly about crypto. Always a pleasure to be around my friend from the other side of the world.
Yeah, it was good to see you, Steph.
Yeah, thanks
so
for
much
coming on,
on.
Steph. I really appreciate, and it was also like late notice, so I really appreciate you coming on, mate. And you answered some really good questions that I had. So thank you very much. And
Steph,
thank you.
Steph, when V3?
Yes? Oh, that's another question. It's a good question, but I think now we're set up because we built the app from scratch. Imagine that we built V1. We didn't know if we would have product market fit, you know, if we would take over. And then we've seen the price of X just going to the moon, and so demand exploded. We have a couple of, like, you know, architectural design in the app that was not what we wanted, something on the back end. So we started from scratch, and now I think we have a version of the app that is just more scalable. We can do just regular, like any product, we can do regular updates with more confidence. And so maybe that concept of, you know, versioning will just be a bit more loose, and we're just gonna, you know, on a regular basis just deliver more features. If there's anything major that needs to happen in the app, and we're just gonna be just on the surface, right? Just we are organizing a few things, especially if we add more staking protocols. So yeah, V3 might never exist. We'll see.
Cool. Yep.
I'm just protecting myself for the one V3. So
under promise, over deliver, man. Under promise, over deliver.
No expectations. Things that people forget.
Thanks, mate.
Cool.
Appreciate you coming.
Thanks again. Have a good one.
Bye. So, guys, I've got a clip here from. Let me bring this up. Did you guys see this?
Oh,
is that, hang on, let me see.
Guys,
did you guys see this?
You guys should have warned me that the price has been pumping while I've been out of the house.
I didn't even know.
I didn't even know.
Have
you guys seen this? Lydia Thorpe belongs in jail. Not Parliament. Did you see this?
Yeah.
The fight broke out at around 3 a.m. after a night
out.
out.
I've seen it.
One member of the group telling 7 News the senator was out of control.
Early this morning outside a strip club in Melbourne.
You know what I say? You know what I say to you? You know what I say to you? And you? You're a racist penis. Oh, penis. God.
Independent Senator Lydia Thorpe and her friends out to celebrate her 50th birthday. Are filmed arguing with a group of men.
All I want to say to the black brothers there, and anyone that we're fighting, any black man that stands with a white little like that, you can all get too.
Someone get in Parliament like you.
My God.
In this country, and you let this little dog.
Senator Thorpe also taking matters into her own hands.
And you are marked.
Get out of my face.
The fight broke out at around 3 a.m. after a night out.
Only in Australia. Only in Australia.
I knew she'd got into some trouble, but I hadn't actually heard the spray. That's pretty.
That is the height of Australia. Yeah. Like, as in that is. So, I don't mean that's the height of Australia in terms of it like being the pinnacle of Australian behavior. I'm just saying it's so Australian. Like that is max Australia.
Yeah.
Did you hear her? Did you hear her? That's a death threat. When you say to someone you're marked, like a marked man there's a death threat. There was like
racism,
racism. There was like reverse racism or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
No, just racism. Dude.
Racism. It's not reverse. It's racism either way, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's like in the opposite direction as what is like promoted as the typical, like it's the.
She'll be losing a job.
This is acceptable racism, not reverse racism. This is the acceptable society's acceptable racism.
How does she lose her job though? Like, how does she actually lose her job?
Told the dude he's got a small dick, man.
How does she?
That's not. But that's in itself not illegal, or like I don't. Has she broken any rules by calling someone? It's sort of like vulgar and You know,
but people have been resigned for a lot less, and that's like.
But she's independent.
Is she?
You know what I mean? Okay. Like she's not going to get booted out of.
A party.
She can just stick it. She needs to actually like the thing about like if there's actually a threat. Like you were saying, you're marked or whatever. If she's saying you're marked, that could be. But you know, are they just going to say, "Hey, she's drunk"?
I mean, I think it's just bad. It's a tarnished reputation. But it sounded a bit like the penis comment was actually racist. I think there was an implication there. That white guys have got smaller dicks than black guys. That's what I heard. I don't know. I'd have to listen again to make sure, but I believe that was the implication she was making.
Yeah,
can you imagine if that same comment got made, but it was like a different two races?
Yeah.
Like say if it was a different two colors and there was some dick size comparison going on.
No, I'm laughing at this comment. Just tuned in. I thought they made it illegal to have a small dick.
In Australia, yes, they did.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that from that's not something you hear every day from an Australian politician. That's not an everyday thing.
No, that's rare.
That's very rare.
It's rare, but very Australian.
Yeah.
Everyone's to let yourself go that far off the hook when you're on a night out, knowing that you're in the public. It's most people.
That's a 50-year-old. That's a 50-year-old.
She must have not.
Has a say in what happens. Has like a
well.
very big say, like a big voting power, because she's like an independent. Like a lot of the time, the balance of power will lie with independents in the Senate.
Yeah. Yep.
Sometimes you've got to go back to your roots. Sometimes you've got to be a soldier when you're in the streets.
At 50 years old, hey.
I thought the fact that she just come out of a strip joint probably would have been enough to raise a few eyebrows, but hey.
No. Big deal. Like if a dude walked out of the strip club, who would give a fuck? No one cares.
Oh no, but if
it's the other.
Oh, come on! If a male politician walked out of a strip club, he would get hounded for all hell. Like there'd be a part of the community that'd be like, yeah, that's Aussie, but then there'd be a big backlash, I would reckon.
Yeah, maybe. I don't like me personally. I don't give a fuck. Like
I don't give a shit either. But
it's like I think the other stuff is pretty. It's not good for her reputation. Not that I think she had much of a reputation to begin with, but it's just not great for her reputation. Hey. So the other thing I wanted to show was this. And I'm sort of just going through a lot of tabs right now because I had all this stuff lined up, but Steph coming on was like really a last minute thing. I just messaged him and he was like, he just happened to be free. So that worked out well, given that you guys were a little bit tardy.
Yeah, sorry about that, man.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good.
I had to school these bitches, man. Like they started talking about chains that I like can't name here, like that I don't want to repeat, and I had to just educate everyone. Dude, one guy was in a fucking MLM, I shit you not, and I was like, he started telling me about this thing, and I already thought it sounded a bit scammy. And I was like, oh, I don't know about, bro. This is a red flag. This is a red flag. And then he said it was an MLM, and I was just like, bro. I'm like, bro, that is like 99.9% chance it's an MLM. I'm not saying it's an MLM, but it's nearly certainly an I'm not saying it's a scam, but it's nearly certainly a scam.
How people when they're new to the space tend to gravitate towards those. I don't know how the hell it happens.
He said to me, he's like, well, what's the difference between in a company where there's like a boss and there's people that work under him? And I'm like, bro, I'll tell you what the fucking difference is. in a corporate structure, you don't get a cut of the fucking wages of the people beneath you. And it's not like anyone that works for the company can just go out, start employing people. It's completely different. You don't just recruit people into the company and then just start getting a cut of their, I'm like, dude, that's not, I was like, bro, if you want to defend your MLM, like in future, you're going to have to not use that as a defense, because that is ridiculous. Those two things are not comparable at all. Yeah, and there was other stuff I had to school people on. One guy was like, look at this chick, she wrote this thing, she's so smart. And I'm just like, just crushed every sentence in it. It was like this chick that's a silver bug saying that like cryptocurrency is not real money because it doesn't meet the Webster dictionary definition of money. It says it has to be bills or coins. And I'm like, are you fucking joking me, dude? This bitch is desperate to try and find any reason to shill her fucking bags. That definition would have been written before cryptocurrency even existed. I'll tell you the definition of money. And so anyway, yeah, not to get ranty, but I had to school a lot of people about some pretty fucking important shit. And that's why I was late.
Did you tell them all that you were going to go on a live stream after?
Yeah, I told them. I said I'm late for a live stream. Yep.
What's up, crew? What's up, crew? If you are hanging with Tangent.
Oh, by the way, I in the chat, the handle that says Hex Tangent, that really is me. I literally just made that account while you guys were chatting when I first got here.
Do you know what sucks, man?
Because your channel got
sucks. You guys came on like late. Oh, not so much you, Jexa, but Tangent. You came on late, and we only have 12 minutes left until we have to shut it down.
That's cool. That's cool. I've got to eat anyway. But you said you wanted to play a clip.
Who was that?
I thought you said you wanted to play a clip. Weren't you going to it when I started talking about the meetup? I started ranting. And
I was just going to show. Hang on.
I'm pretty sure we went. Yeah.
I was just going to show. It wasn't a clip. It was just for anyone interested in PulseChain Validator setup guide. There is Togosh wrote a Medium article, and it's got like loads of links and stuff, resources, and even Jex's script made it into that right there.
Yeah, I've got to update that one. I'll do a refreshed version of that. I've changed mine a lot.
So I'll just pop that in the chat so that anyone wants to go check that out. It's a really good resource. What else did I have? I had
everyone that's everyone that's running the validators. I wanted just to shout out to everyone in the Pulse Dev Telegram group, because everyone's really, really helpful in there. They're all pitching in and sharing ideas and working through all the little nuances that comes along with firing up these clients when you're just getting started. So yeah, it's really good, strong community effort in there. So thanks guys for all the help and support that you've given me as well. Hamish, big shout out to you, mate. You're always there to come back with a good answer.
Yeah. Those guys are very, very knowledgeable. Just like reading through their messages is just like, it's like, what are they talking about? Yeah, look, did you guys see this? C.S. Lewis, Tolkien, Orwell among works tagged as triggers for far-right extremism by anti-terror group.
Oh man, I'm so sick of this shit.
Do you know what's really
in the UK? In the UK,
yeah. Do you know what's really bad? Which I hadn't even thought about this, and it's,
all of it.
Yeah, no, that too. But okay, so what was the one of the big things they done in 1984 in the book? So anything that was
like fucking up the meanings of words so that people can't communicate.
They'd go back and rewrite history as well. So they would
they
would remove references to something and rewrite history to whatever narrative they wished. So I think it was a Roald Dahl book in Amazon. So we all these days we don't. A lot of the times we don't go buy a hardcover book or a paperback book and whack it on the shelf. We download it in digital format. So what if they were just going back through and editing to make it more PC and to change the story?
Yes. I think I heard about this happening, or that they were thinking about doing it.
No, they've done it on a Roald Dahl book. So they've
removed some like racist shit or something. Or something
so they're modernising the book, but you're effectively destroying the original copy.
You're
rewriting
altering,
history
you're altering the art. It's like going into an art gallery and start like with a paintbrush and altering the paintings because you don't like parts of it, or you think that parts of it are offensive.
But it's worse than that, because you download a book thinking you've got this is the content in the book, and you read that, and then you go back and read it a year later, and shit's changed in it. Like that's.
So you go in the art gallery at night and do it and don't tell anyone, like as in, and then you let people come into the gallery the next day and see the shit and not have any kind of.
So you just go to all the paintings and make the people just fatter.
I mean, I would draw dicks on everyone, but like, paint everyone to be fatter or whatever. But I saw this amazing podcast with this guy who's like a brain scientist. And he was saying he released all these research papers that said that as your weight goes up, there's this something, that like in terms of your brain health goes down, basically. Like, I know that's really simplified, but he was like, I released these papers and people said, oh, you're not allowed to say stuff like that. And he's like, how can we not? Like, how could I not say stuff like that? Like, you know what I mean? We can't ignore. We can't ignore
the facts because you don't want to upset people.
The negative, you can't ignore negative health impacts from something just because you don't.
So his study was saying that like the more percentage body fat that you carry, the lower the IQ or brain function, brain activity.
It was some particular sector in the brain. I don't remember the name. Like as in it was a very important
but that clearly can't
part
be,
of the brain that basically
clearly
shrinks.
Can't be true. There's a lot of fat, smart people.
But
they could be genius.
They could have been, they could have been even smarter. You know what I mean?
They could have been even smarter.
Yeah, you don't know what their relative starting point.
Honestly, studies, most of them are shit. Most of them are horse shit. Like people can manipulate the study to produce whatever result.
That's true as well.
So all these expert studies that you hear about,
I think the sentiment here is important that we shouldn't be ignoring negative health impacts. It would be like, say, if there were like
different
drug
ways
addicts,
to get fat though, but there's different ways to get fat.
They just decided that like no one's allowed to say that drug usage is harmful to you or something like that.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. Like
you know what I mean?
So if your diet consists of eating Doritos and only Doritos, you're probably going to be fat and stupid as fuck. Like you're not getting good nutrients, right? You're not getting like high quality nutrients. If you just eat too much fucking like vegetables
we don't need to get preachy. We don't need to get preachy. I'm just saying everyone's allowed to do whatever the fuck they want, but I think people should make educated decisions. And so like hiding knowledge for fear that it's going to offend the like woke narrative is irresponsible and dangerous. So if after you educate people and say, here are the potential health impacts of like doing drugs or getting fat as fuck, if someone's like, I'm going to go and eat a cheeseburger and do coke, then that's fine, right? Like, as in, that's still their decision as an adult. I'm not going to take away, I'm not going to say we need to police it, but I want people to make decisions based on knowledge, not on.
We're not going to police it. We're just going to deny you hospital.
No, I don't agree with that either. Like, I think every human has the right to care, like to healthcare, regardless of what they've done. Like we treat junkies, or I mean, like smokers, alcoholics. Everyone gets medical treatment.
I was joking, but yeah, I was.
Yeah, I totally agree with the sentiment. You can't hide reality from people just because it upsets them.
Yeah. Just
but I think what is reality and what is fact when you look at a lot of these studies, and I think the more I understood the way the academic process works now in terms of the funding and where that comes from, and most of the studies that get released,
that's actually very true.
You've got to question everything now. The system's a bit broken.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys, we gotta wind it up. Can I have last? Sorry to cut you guys off, but we got
that's
3
fine.
minutes left. Can we, last comments tangent, and then like after, can you stick around for a second? I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I've only got one comment, and that is that on the Bitcoin chart, we currently have, assuming that the day was to close where it is now or higher, we've actually got a bullish engulfing candle on the daily.
Cool. Yep.
Which is very bullish. If that closes like that or higher, it's really bullish.
I was watching your figure of, what was it, 30,250 odd, where you said that was a pretty important number.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I think, look, Bitcoin looks pretty good. Ethereum, I reckon, looks pretty strong.
Yep, that's also looking strong.
Yeah, so hopefully we're in for
back over 2,100.
Markets have a way of smacking you down just when you think they're going to go really well, but things are looking pretty good. So
agreed.
Hope for everyone that's the case. Interesting times.
Awesome.
We're coming into a lot of cool things happening in the HEX ecosystem and everything as well. But yeah, it might just be the perfect storm for everyone. So let's hope.
I think today's stream, the thing that I got out of it the most was from Steph saying that they might put like a Hedron mint button somewhere on the app at some stage.
Oh, he did say that, did he?
Yeah, because
cool.
Everything else, doing everything in the ecosystem would be tough because there's so much going on in that ecosystem. But even if there was just a Hedron mint button for, especially for the Pulse side, because what's the option to mint Hedron if you've got the staker app, right? What would be the option? So just that alone would be an awesome addition. If they get around to doing that.
I see what you're saying, that it's hard to know where to draw the line, right? Because it's like it's hard to draw the line in terms of what,
and it's not just Hedron. There's another 50 tokens that are going to turn around and say, hey, do this for me. But a one button, like one function from the contract, I think is probably doable. And I'm sure Alex would probably contribute code if he needed to for something like that. Anyway, thanks to everyone in the chat. Awesome. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.
Cheers, guys.